happens in Syria can reverberate throughout the world, from the wider Middle East to Turkey to Europe and indeed even the United States. And that's really been Turkey's central message to the international community. From a humanitarian perspective, this latest assault by the Assad regime and the Russian Air Force can impact up to 4 million people. According to UN estimates, up to 1 million people may be displaced or flee as refugees from the province of Idlib as the Assad regime campaign to retake and capture the last rebel-held province continues alongside the help of the Russian Air Force. From a national security standpoint, Turkey has a great deal to be worried about. It is at full capacity in terms of its ability to take care of Syrian refugees and displaced people, Europe as well. And we're looking at also thousands of foreign fighters. There's a counterterrorism dimension here. Turkey has told the Russians and Iran, both of whom are allies of the Assad regime, that if you want to focus and to defeat designated terror groups that are still in Syria, the most effective way is to work with the local forces on the ground, the local rebel forces that have been fighting Daesh and other extremists for years. That's proven to be a successful formula in other parts of northern Syria, and that up to now, the Assad regime has merely used the excuse, the cover of counterterrorism to destroy the rest of the country. That has been sort of the central message that we saw in an opinion piece in the Wall Street Journal by President Erdogan, calling for the whole world, the international community, to stop Bashar al-Assad before it is too late.
But we've heard these warnings for weeks now that an offensive on Idlib is going to lead to a massive crisis. So far, Russia and Syria don't seem to have changed their position at all. So what is it going to take to avert the crisis?
Indeed, the de-escalation zone agreement between Turkey, Iran, and the Russians at this point is essentially null and void. We've seen other de-escalation zone agreements between the Russians and the Americans in other parts of the country also failed. That was in the Damascus suburbs and in the southern parts of Syria. The Assad regime has eventually violated the ceasefire, and with the help of Russian military advisors and the Russian Air Force, conquered those parts of Syria. And now the Russian war machine alongside the Assad regime forces on the ground have firmly put Idlib in the crosshairs of their Air Force and their military, and they seem to be determined to retake that area despite warnings from the international community and from humanitarian organizations. So many are fearing the worst, that Syria, which has become, according to the United Nations, the worst man-made disaster since World War II, may now become even worse as the Assad regime continues to ignore pleas by the international community and Turkey to stop its assault against the Syrian people in Idlib.